Time Walk with Me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Time Walk with me. I am the Time Walker, and this video is about two decks commanded by Baeloth Barrityl Entertainer. I posted about building around him in my community tab, and a very helpful and clever reviewer named Recommand said that his strategy in a situation where he has a commander and two different backgrounds he wants to use is to treat them like jumpstart packs and switch out the modules for each background as you switch decks. So I went with this strategy and put in 50 cards to use with both backgrounds, 50 cards to use with Former Criminal, and 50 cards to use with Raised by Giants. Baeloth Barrityl Entertainer. Baeloth Barrityl Entertainer is a 2/5 elf shaman who costs 5 mana to cast, one of which has to be red. Creatures your opponents control with power less than Baeloth's power are permanently and constantly goaded as long as Baeloth is out. That means that without augmenting his power in any way, he goads every creature of your opponents with power 1 or 0. Of course, we'll be bumping that up to goad every creature you don't control. Whenever a goaded attacking or blocking creature dies, you get a treasure token. That's neat. And also, you get to choose a background. Naturally, you want to choose one that pumps up Baeloth's power, such as Raised by Giants. This background costs 6 mana, one of which has to be green. It makes Baeloth's power and toughness 10/10, meaning that all of your opponent's creatures with power 9 or less will be goaded. I usually categorize all the cards, but since I'm doing one for each background and one for cards included in both decks, I'll just separate out the lands and do the rest all together. These are the cards included in the Raised by Giants module. Ambush Viper. I put a few cards that have Death Touch in here to deter attacks while I'm building up Baeloth. This one is especially nice because it has Flash, so I can cast it in response to an attack and take something out that an opponent thought would get through. Armed/Dangerous. This is here for when an opponent attacks another opponent and I want to make sure something dies or a bunch of stuff goes through. Beast Within. This versatile bit of removal goes well in any deck with green. Bramble Armor. I put in a bunch of equipment that automatically attaches to Baeloth because the bigger he is, the harder everyone else falls. Clifftop Lookout. This chump blocker also serves as ramp. Cultivate. Deadly Recluse. Fight Rigging. Every turn this makes Baeloth bigger and bigger. Glowstone Recluse. Since Baeloth isn't human, he can mutate. Greater Sandworm. This is a large body if I need it late in the game, and card draw if I get it early and don't need it. Harmonize. Harrow. Hoarding Recluse. Ekerspit Basilisk. Crowsen Tusker. This is here for cycling. It gives you a card and also puts a basic land into your hand. Map the Wastes. Migration Path. Ornery Tumblewag. This pumps up Baeloth every turn and doubles his +1/+1 counters at least once. Reclamation Sage. This is here to serve as a chump blocker and also to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Regrowth. Roiling Regrowth. Rosethorn Halberd. This costs a lot to equip, but it does it for free when it first enters the battlefield. Royal Treatment. This is here to protect Baeloth from an audience member who isn't enjoying the show. Sandworm Convergence. Eventually, you'll be the only person for an opponent to attack, so this helps protect you from flyers while giving you beefy ground creatures. Satyr Piper. Sawtusk Demolisher. When this mutates Baeloth and every mutation after that, it gives you a free almost Beast Within. Snakeskin Veil. Somberwalled Sage. Sylvan Scrying. Tamiyo's Safekeeping, and Thrashing Brontodon. And as for the lands in this, we got Forests, Rugged Highlands, and Thriving Grove. Criminal Past. Criminal Past is a background that costs just 2 generic and 1 black mana and gives Baeloth +X+0, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. This module wants to self-mill and sacrifice creatures to put a ton of creatures in the graveyard so Baeloth gets big and strong. Oh yeah, it also gives Baeloth Menace. Billowing Shriek Mass. I put in a bunch of creatures like this that mill you when they ETB. Bloodflow Connoisseur. I also put in some sacrifice outlets so you can get rid of creatures that help you more by being dead. Buried Alive. Bushmeat Poacher. Carrion. Crow of Dark Tidings. Daggerfang Duo. Eerie Soul Tender. Erebos' Emissary. I also included a few cards that allow you to put creatures into the graveyard from your hand. This one can be cast as an aura on Baeloth to pump him up. Ghoulsteed. Gift of Doom. This is here to protect Baeloth. It's also a sacrifice outlet. Golgari Thug. This creature's dredge ability makes him a repeatable mill outlet. Golem, Patient Plotter. Gutless Plunderer. Karazikar the Eye Tyrant. This rewards players for attacking each other. It also rewards you when they do it. Mindrak Harpy. Mishra, Tamer of Makfawa. This helps protect Baeloth by making him much more expensive to target. Morbid Opportunist. With all the creatures attacking and blocking and dying, this will help keep your hand full. Novice Dissector. Phyrexian Ghoul. Rakshasa Gravecaller. Renegade Reaper. Returned Centaur. Revenant. This guy likes it when you have a full graveyard, and he flies, making him harder to block. Stitcher's Supplier. Tower of Murmurs. Venomous Hierophant. Viscera Seer. Vulturous Aven. I almost said Voluptuous Aven. That would have been interesting. Wix Patrol. And Windgrace Acolyte. And the lands in this are Swamp, Bloodfell Caves, Boggart Trawler / Boggart Bog, Haunted Ridge, and Thriving Moor. Both. Alright, for both of the decks here, we've got Agitator Ant. As long as everyone's creatures are already goaded, they might as well take the counters and fan the flames of your inevitable victory. Alexios, Deimos of Cosmos. This guy is really cool, even though his name is really weird. Everyone gets him during their turn, he has to attack someone other than you, and he gets bigger every time he changes hands. Avatar of Slaughter. As long as no one can attack you, you can attack them with impunity. Barbed Battle Gear. This cheaply pumps up Baeloth by quite a bit. Bearded Axe. Bearer of the Heavens. This is a true board wipe. It destroys everything, even lands. For that reason, people will probably be careful not to kill it. Bloodsworn Steward. Bothersome Quasit. If everything has to attack and nothing can block, the game might end pretty fast. Brash Taunter. This goblin can basically make a creature attack its own controller. Brass's Bounty. Burning Anger. I don't hear much about this card, but it is amazing. Put it on a very strong creature like a 10/10, and you can take something out every turn. You can even hit players. Heck, you can hit yourself, but don't. Chaos Warp. Clash of Titans. You can target two creatures you don't control and watch them kill each other. Colossus Hammer. Baeloth doesn't need flying. With 10 more power, there's very little chance any of your opponent's creatures will resist being goaded by him. Coruscation Mage. This otter wizard can enter the battlefield with a baby of itself, and they make all of your opponents mad whenever you cast a non-creature spell. I put a few creatures that do this in here. Curse of Opulence. As long as your opponents are attacking each other, you can use this to incentivize them to go after the biggest threat to you. Death Kiss. This is a bit like Avatar of Slaughter. It doubles the power of creatures attacking your opponents. It can also goad any creatures that somehow resisted Baeloth's entertainment. Disintegrate. I put a few X damage spells like this in here to pick off the last opponent left. Disrupt Decorum. If Baeloth was somehow dealt with, this can temporarily continue his work until you can get him back out again. Or for just one turn. Whatever. Dueling Rapier. Here's another equipment that auto-attaches. Fireball. Firebrand Archer. Fire Spitter Whelp. Frenzied Fugue. Not Fugu like it looks like. This is a fun card. It takes control of a creature during your turn and gives it back during your opponent's turns. Also, if you attack with it, it stays tapped until its owner's next untap step, so it could prevent it from blocking. Loreseeker's Stone. This is one of my favorite artifacts that makes me draw. The more you need it, the less it costs to activate. Mirren Bane's Splitter. There's another auto-attaching artifact, and like Dueling Rapier, this one has flash and only costs 1 mana. In fact, the only difference between this and the Rapier is that this costs 1 less to equip. Repercussion. This will dissuade your opponents from blocking since they'll end up taking the damage anyway. Scavenged Blade. Soul Ring. Soul Talisman. Undying Rage. I'm not normally a big fan of using auras, but this one is reusable. When its host dies, it just goes back to your hand so you can cast it again. And Volcanic Geyser. Then lands in the both section are Mountain, Command Tower, Great Hall of the Citadel, Kazul's Fury / Kazul's Cliffs, Songmad Treachery / Songmad Ruins, Spikefield Hazard / Spikefield Cave, and Thriving Bluff. And that's it! Those are my 2 Baeloth Barrityl Entertainer decks. I kinda wish Recommend had told me about this idea when I was working with Lulu Loyal Hollyphant, but oh well. Give me your thoughts down in the comments, and remember, American democracy is coming to an end. Someone needs to save us from the villains who connive their way into power.